Hello everyone. In this lecture we are going to talk about one important topic in the engineering management course, which is project management. In this lecture we are focusing on the introduction of the project, what is the project and what are the most important aspects of project, so we can predict the other aspects that are important to success of the project is. On the other hand, it is important to minimize the risks of failure for different kinds of projects. And we are going to use two books as our references. One book is the Project Management of Jeffrey Pinto. That is one of the important references in our course, and more specifically in this chapter. And the other book is The Management of Stephen Robbins and Mary Coulter. These two books are very important. We are going to use those two books for most of the topics in this lecture. First of all, what is project? Projects in general are complex and one-time processes. It means we should have a careful understanding of the complexity of projects, so we can manage them. We can guarantee the success of projects if we understand the complexity of projects, and they are one-time processes. It means we have to manage the timeline of the project because we have a specific timeline, and we have a specific start and finish date of any project. Projects are limited by budget, schedule, and resources. It means we don't have open resources to manage our projects. We have a limited budget, we have a limited schedule, we have limited resources. It means we have to take a very careful consideration to manage all these aspects in our projects. Projects are developed to resolve a clear goal and set of goals. We should have a goal. We should know why we are going to have these things to do. We should know why we are going to schedule for something, why we are going to pay for something. So goals of any project should be defined in the early stages of the project. Projects are customer focused. It means any project should serve the customers. The customer satisfaction. The customer satisfaction is one of the most important aspects that we should not underestimate it, because if customers are not satisfied for the project, so we cannot be successful in our project. As a result, the definition of the project could be something like this, which has been defined by IBET. That is a temporary endeavor undertaken to create a unique product or service or a result. A temporary endeavor means the project is temporary. Temporary means it has a starting date and a finishing date because it is temporary. Undertaken to what? To produce a unique product. Unique here means it has a specific quality. The term uniqueness defines the quality of the project. A unique product, the product could be something that you can touch, like a pen or a laptop or a smartwatch or anything like this. To create a unique product or service. Service, it can be any service that you cannot touch it. For example, cleaning a building is not something that you can touch it or have it. Okay, it is a service. So any service or any product could be a result. Could be the something that you can get it throughout the process of executing a project. Now we are talking about the project characteristics. First of all, projects are ad hoc endeavors with a clear life cycle. Any project has a clear life cycle. It means they should have a clear starting and finishing date. Why is that important? It is important for the managers to be a good time manager, so we can manage all the aspects within the life cycle of the project. Secondly, projects are building blocks in the design and execution of organizational strategies. So we have some building blocks in any kind of projects that we can break down all the activities or uh, mm, all the building blocks in the project, so we can easily achieve the organizational strategies. Thirdly, projects are responsible for the newest and most improved products, services, and organizational processes. So we have to take consideration of the innovation and technology, so we can improve the organizational processes, because the processes of any organization is very important to be improved continuously, because the product will be produced more smoothly and more effectively. Projects provide philosophy and strategy for the management of the change. So it is very clear that while we are executing any kind of project, we will face changes because of the events that may happen to the project. So we have to have a very flexible project management tool, so we can manage the changes that will happen to the project. Project management entails crossing functional and organizational boundaries. A project manager should be very careful about this, because while you are managing a project, you are managing different people with different backgrounds, with different skills. So you have to cross all these boundaries, so you can then get and gain the organizational goals. Another point is traditional management functions like planning, organizing, motivation, directing, and control that can be applied to project management. These are the traditional management functions: planning or time management, budget management or quality management, directing, controlling. These functions are the traditional project management. We have to take care of these pointers to parallel to the innovation and technology to get the organizational goals. Principal outcomes of a project are the satisfaction of customer requirements within the constraints of technical cost and schedule objectives. We know that we have limitation in any kind of environment to execute projects. A good project manager should get the satisfaction of the customers, should work to get the goals of the organization, even if we have the limitations with the cost, even if we have limitations with the schedule, even if we have limitations for the resources. We have to still work to get the customer requirements, and also parallel to this, getting the organizational objectives. Projects are terminated upon successful completion of performance objectives. Uh, any kind of project should be terminated, should be closed out with some outcomes. If we have some outcomes like the objectives, our objectives are well defined from the beginning. If we could get something parallel to our objectives of the project at the end of the project completion, so we can say, okay, we were successful in getting the objectives of our project, and this is like a measure that you can use it for measuring the success and failure of your project. These were some of the characteristics of any kind of project. Of course, we may have some other characteristics that can be like secondary characteristics. But here we talked about the most important and primary characteristics of any kind of project. So we can work on them, and the success or failure of the projects can be measured and will be measured based on these characteristics. Another term that we are going to use it here is the process. We have to know the difference between the process and project. Here are some of the differences between the process and the project. We highlighted some key differences between the process and the project. Processes are ongoing and involve repeating the same process or producing the same product with several objectives to achieve. This is the process. And also, the people involved are homogeneous, okay? And the systems are and practices are well established, leading to a greater certainty. Because we have something that it is like a routine, you will do it continuously. Processes support the status quo and are part of the line of the organization. But on the other hand, we have the project. Projects are a one-shot, limited life endeavor that seeks to develop a new process or product. Okay, with one specific objective, because we have one time and we have one specific objective. Project teams are often more heterogeneous, and the project requires integrated system efforts. Okay, projects normally involve greater uncertainty as they are not well established. We have one-time project. It is not well established. It is not something that you are going to do it continuously. And often projects can violate established practices. Projects upset the status quo and are typically outside of the line of the organization. These are some of the key differences between the process and the project, as they require different approaches and management strategies. We cannot have the same strategy for something which is a project and for something which is a process. They are two different, we can say, systems. They are like two different animals, two different fruits. While processes require ongoing and monitoring and optimization, projects require careful planning. Projects require careful planning, execution, and closure to achieve a specific goal and objective. These are some of the differences between project and process. Why are projects important? Here, we outline the reasons why projects are important in the today's business environment. First, product life cycles are becoming increasingly shorter. Okay, which means that companies must innovate and develop new products more quickly to remain competitive. This is one of the key points, is that the projects are important because the business environment will be more competitive, and new innovation, new technology will come to the market, and the competition between the companies will be more severe. Secondly, there are narrow product launch windows, meaning that companies must be able to launch new products within the specific time frame to capture market opportunities. Thirdly, increasingly complex and technical products. Products are becoming increasingly complex. Okay, they require specialized skills and knowledge to develop and produce. Okay, this is another important point that makes the project important. The fourth one is emergence of global markets. Global markets have emerged. They are creating new opportunities and challenges for the companies that make them to expand their business globally. Okay, so another important point is an economic period marked by low inflation. This means that the companies must find new ways to create value and remain profitable. All of these factors have contributed to the growing importance of projects in today's business environment. We can say that projects provide companies with a way to develop new products, enter new markets, and create value for their customers. By successfully managing projects, companies can stay competitive to grow their business and to achieve their strategic goals. Now we are talking about another important aspect of projects, which is project lifecycle. In the project lifecycle, we have four main important stages, which are conceptualization, planning, execution, and termination. This is something like a model that we can use it for any kind of the project. In the first stage, the conceptualization, it is where the idea of the project is developed. This stage can involve defining the project goals, objectives, and the scope of the project. Parallel to this, it can assess the project's feasibility and potential risks. This stage, we can say, it is one of the most important stages of the project. Because if we were clear with our goals, we can easily continue to the next stages. The second stage is planning. Planning is where the project plan is developed. This stage involves defining the project's detailed scope and the project schedule. And parallel to this, the budget of the project and the requirements of the project for the resource will be defined. The risk management of the project, or you can say the plan for the risk management, and the quality management plan. Here in this stage, in the planning stage, all these aspects will be defined and planned very precisely and accurately. Another stage is execution. In this stage, the project is performed. It means it is a doing stage. Now we have planned, we have defined the scope of the project, we have clear goals. Here in this stage, we are doing what we have planned for. Or this stage involves implementation of the project plan, managing project risks and issues, and monitoring the project progress. The last stage is termination. Termination is where the project is completed and closed out. This stage involves performing final testing or training and project closeout activities. We have some activities that are specific to termination of the projects, as well as capturing lessons learned and conducting project review. It is like a feedback that we can that we have to define a set of lessons that we have learned from the project, so we can improve it for the next project and for the future opportunities. By understanding the project lifecycle and the different stages involved, project managers can better plan, execute, and can easily control their projects to achieve successful outcomes. This is about the project life cycle, which is one of the most important aspects of any kind of project. Here we talked about these aspects on the figure, so I'm not going to repeat these pointers. Changes during the project life cycle. In this slide, we discussed the concept of change during the project life cycle. We highlighted 5 different factors that can drive the changes, which is the client interest, project at stake, resources, creativity, and uncertainty. First of all, client interest refers to the changes in the client's needs and the client's requirements. This can occur throughout the project lifecycle. These changes may result in modifications to the project scope or to the project budget or to the project schedule. In any kind of the project, if the client has some requirements, we have to first of all define these things that are the interest of the client is, and we have to work on them so the client will be satisfied, because the client satisfaction is one important measure for the success of the project. Project at stake. This is the project stakeholders, or we can say project stakeholders. This includes the changes in leadership, like, for example, the management team of the project, or external factors like regulatory changes, or maybe like something like market conditions. These changes may require adjustments to the project plan and strategy. Resources, it is the availability of personnel or equipment, or maybe sometimes the availability of funding. The allocation of the resources is another important factor. These changes may impact the project schedule and budget. Another point is creativity. It is the project design approach. As new ideas or new solutions emerge during the project life cycle. These changes may require modification to the project and deliverables. Another factor is uncertainty in the project environment, such as unexpected events, or maybe like something like crisis, or in our country something like war, or risks to emerge during the project life cycle. These changes may require adjustments to the project plan or risk management approach. By understanding these drivers of change during the project lifecycle, project managers can manage changes and minimize its impact on the project outcomes. So if you understand these pointers, we can easily manage them and minimize the bad effects of unexpected events. By understanding these drivers, project managers can manage changes so they can easily minimize the impact on the project outcomes. Like they can develop a change management plan by establishing clear communication canals and regularly monitoring and assessing the project's performance and risks. This figure presents the different factors affecting the changes with respect to the stages of the project. For example, we have conceptualization, planning, execution, and termination. So we have the factors affecting the change throughout the life cycle of the project. For example, uncertainty, and this is the intensity level of this factor. The intensity level of uncertainty in the conceptualization stage is very high, and it will go down while the project go to the termination stage throughout the project life cycle. And for example, creativity, the project at stake, resources, client interest. we have all these factors affecting the change with different intensities throughout the project life cycle. We have also some factors or some measures of the success of the project. Here we have four different factors for measuring the success of the project. The first one is time. Time here refers to the project schedule and the ability to complete the project within the established timeline. Project managers must balance the need to meet deadlines with the need to deliver the quality results. We can see time and budget are two different factors that are interrelated to each other because time equals to money and money equals to time. Money, or we can say budget, refers to the project's financial resources and the ability to complete the project within the established budget. Project managers must effectively manage the cost and the resources to deliver the successful project or to deliver the required quality of the project. Performance, or we can say quality, in some references they noted performance as quality. Performance refers to the quality and scope of the project. Project managers must ensure the project objectives and they should clearly define that the project team has the necessary skills and resources to meet the project objectives. So this is very important because it is also related to the customer satisfaction or the end user satisfaction. The last one is the client acceptance. Client acceptance, or we can say client satisfaction, it is the satisfaction of the project's stakeholders and customers. Project managers must ensure that the project meets the expectations of the client and that the deliverables are accepted and valued by the end users. Balancing these four factors can be challenging and changes of one factor can impact the others. For example, a change in the project scope may impact the project schedule and budget, while a delay in the project schedule may impact the client acceptance. So effective project management requires careful planning, careful monitoring, and a good communication to ensure that all four factors are managed effectively and the project is completed successfully. We have four important dimensions for project success. We can say we have four different zones of project success. Project efficiency, impact on the customer, business success, and preparing for the future. Now we are talking about these four different zones of the project throughout the project life cycle, and also on the Y direction we have the importance of these factors, or we can say of these dimensions. First of all, project efficiency. Project efficiency is the completion of the project on time and within budget, while also meeting the project scope and quality objectives. This is a very important concern of any project. We have to get the same objective and quality within the same or specified budget and time for the project. This dimension is important in the short term, and failure to achieve the project efficiency can impact the project overall success. This is why in this stage we have to be very sensitive with the time and the budget of the project that should be parallel to achieving the defined goals and objectives of the project. Impact on the customer. Impact on the customer, it is the degree to which the project delivers value to the end user and to the customer. This dimension is important in both short term and long term. It can impact the customer satisfaction. As we know, one of the objectives of the project is satisfying customers. Because if we have dissatisfied customers, then the project cannot be no longer successful. So it will not have the benefits, the future benefits for the client and for the different parties involving in the project. Another dimension is the business success. The business success refers to the extent to which the project aligns with the organization's strategy, goals, and objectives. This dimension is important both in the long term and in the short term aspects, but more specifically in the long term aspect, because it will impact the organization's comparative advantage in the future. And also it will impact the financial performance of the organization. So this part is very important because it is related to the success of the company or the success of the organization to achieve the future opportunities. Another aspect is the future opportunities, or we can say preparing for the future. It is the degree to which the project prepares the organization for the future opportunities and at the same time for the future challenges. Because in the future, we know that future is something that we cannot predict it 100%, so we have challenges and opportunities. This dimension is important in the long term, and it can impact the organization's ability to innovate and to adapt to changing market conditions. Or we can say it is important for the company to penetrate the market through the innovations and through the new products that are going to be produced by the company. By considering these 4 dimensions of project success and managing projects according these 4 different dimensions, project managers can help ensure that the project is not deliver the short-term results, but also contribute to the long-term success of the organization. We have also 6 criterion for the success of the projects. Here we introduced 6 criterion for the project success, like the system quality, information quality, optimum usage, organizational impact, user satisfaction, individual impact. System quality is that when the project delivers a system that meets technical requirements such as the reliability, maintainability, and functionality. So these aspects are related to the system. When the system is functional, when the system was reliable, so it means the project can be delivered more smoothly. Secondly, the information quality. The information quality is related to the accuracy of the delivery of the project. Like, for example, delivering within the schedule of the project, and also the information related to the stakeholders and the shareholders of the project. Optimum usage, it is the effectiveness of the usage of the project by the stakeholders. So if the stakeholders are using the project and they have maximum benefit for the project and the product of the project, so it means we have an optimum usage by the stakeholders. Organizational impact, it is the contribution, we can say the contribution of the project in the organizational goals, such as improving the efficiency within the organization, reducing the costs, or increasing the total revenue of the organization. User satisfaction. User satisfaction. It is project needs and expectations for the end user, such as the easiness of use or user interference in the design and the overall satisfaction in using the product of the project. Another point is the individual impact. The individual impact, it is the level of the intensity of, or the level of the impact of the project on the lives of the individual, such as improving the job satisfaction, work-life balance, and the professional development opportunities. These aspects are related to the individual, and individuals will be impacted directly by improving these aspects. These are the 6 different criteria for any kind of project success. Another topic for today's lecture is project management maturity. These models are or PMM models are used to assess the organization's level of maturity in project management. By what? By comparing the practices, the project practices, with those successful management firms. This is about the PMM. And we have benchmarking. Benchmarking, it is a process of identifying and implementing improvements in project delivery over time, with the goal of increasing the organization's project management maturity level. So by using PMM models and benchmarking, organizations can identify their strengths and weaknesses in project management, and they can take action to improve their PMM model level. So this can lead to a better project outcomes and increased efficiency, and also reduced costs over time. Another topic is PM spider web diagram. Is project management spider web diagram. And by using this diagram, we can evaluate, or we can change the quality of the project performance to numbers. So we can evaluate, we can assess the level of the maturity of the company or the project. In this diagram, we have, for example, project scheduling here, and we have structural support for project management here. We have portfolio management, and we have coaching, auditing, and evaluating projects, and so on. And also we have 3 different levels from 0 to 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. If we have the rating of the project to 0, it means that the project is not defined, or it has a poor rating for this measure. And if you have 1, it means defined, but it is substandard. And if it is 2, it means it is standardized. And if it is 3, it is the industry leader or cutting edge. Now, with one example, we can understand more. For example, it is here we have a project. The project is scheduling. We have the rating of 3 for the project scheduling, and also we have the rating of 2 for the structural support for the project management. We have 2 for here, and so on. As we see, we can easily understand or visualize the maturity of the project through one diagram. As we know, we have different models to define different aspects of the project. Here in the Pinto 2016, we have this measure, or we have this diagram. We may have different diagrams found in different references. Project management maturity generic models. The project management maturity generic model is a framework used to measure the level of maturity of an organization in project management. It consists of three different levels. First of all, high maturity, and moderate maturity, and low maturity. Now we are talking about these three different levels one by one. High maturity, in this level, the organization has a culture of seeking continuous improvement in project management. It means the organization has established processes and practices that are continuously monitored. The processes of the organization is continuously monitored, and they are evaluated and improved. So the focus is on delivering the high quality results, and the organization has a strong commitment to the project management excellence. This is about the high maturity. Moderate maturity. In this level, the organization has defined practices in project management, such as standardized processes, training programs, and organizational support. The organization in this level, the organization has a common language and tools to manage projects effectively. Here, the focus is on delivering projects within time and budget, and also achieving the scope of the project. Another level is the low maturity. In this level, the organization has an ad hoc approach to the project management. It has an ad hoc approach to project management with no common language and no common process. Project management is seen as a low priority here in these kind of organizations, and there's a little support from the organization to the project and to the other different parties and entities of the project. The organization does not have a clear understanding of project management principles and practices, which can result in poor project outcomes. Here we talked about three different levels. The project management maturity generic model helps organizations understand where they stand in terms of project management maturity and identify areas for improvement. By identifying their current level of maturity, organizations can take steps to improve their project management practices and move up to higher levels of maturity. This can result in a better project outcomes, and they can improve organizational performance and increase the stakeholder satisfaction. Project management maturity models. We have different models for the project management maturity that they can be used to assess and benchmark the best practices of successful project management firms. Each of these models offer a framework for evaluating and improving project management practices based on various levels of maturity. The first one is the Center of Business Practices, CBP. Karsnia's Project Management Maturity, and International Project International ESI's International Project Framework, SCI's Capability Maturity Model integration. So we have different models for assessing the best practices of the project for the firms. These models are very important to those organizations that are looking to improve their project management capabilities and achieve greater success in their project outcomes. In this slide, we have the project management maturities, different project management maturity models with the measures of each model. We have the levels from 1 to 5, and as we see, we have different measures for each model. So for each model, we can have a diagram measuring from 1 to 5. So each organization can be assessed in with respect to these aspects. This table is just summarizing what we have in our reference book, so we can double check these measures in the reference book. For example, in the initial phase of the project, we have some other sub-measures for example, structure and process and standard of the project. We have some other sub measures. So we have to double check with our reference book if you want to know the measures in the detail for each model. As we know, the project management models provide organizations with a framework for assessing their project management maturity and identifying the areas of improvement. In our reference book, we have some different chapters, and the chapters are organized based on the different project stages. So, for example, we have the foundation, we have the planning, implementation, and termination, and we have the chapters related to the different stages of the project. So we can, it is easier for the student to go with the reference book and have knowledge with each different section with respect to the real project. And also in the same reference book, we have an overview of the Project Management Institute's knowledge areas. So it is very important for the student to go with these requirements of the project that is based on the Project Management Institute. And this is also very important for the students if they want to take the PMP exam, because this is like something global. It is a standard that you can double check your knowledge based on an international institute, which is a Project Management Institute. Sorry, I recommend you to go with the reference book and have a very detailed and comprehensive review for the book, so you will have a very good knowledge about all the aspects of the project and how the Project Management Institute categorized the aspects of the projects. We have another topic that is very important, and it is the project selection. Screening models help managers in selecting viable projects from a pool of options. Uh, these models can be either numeric or non-numeric, and they should possess certain qualities, such as being realistic and capable, and also they should be flexible, easy to use, cost effective, and comparable. First of all, realism means the model must reflect the organizational objectives and consider commercial and technical risks. Secondly, capability, it means it should be flexible and robust enough to accommodate new criteria and project types. Thirdly, flexibility. The model should be easily modifiable to account for changes in trial applications and external factors. Ease of use means the model should be simple, clear, timely, and usable by all organizational members. Another point is cost effectiveness. Cost effectiveness, the selection model or the screening model should be cost effective and encourage its use. The last one is comparability. The model of the selection of projects should be broad enough to enable comparisons across multiple projects. We have those six factors, or we can say measures, for the project selection. So based on these, we can select our projects. Screening and selection issues. When it comes to selecting projects for an organization, there are several factors to consider. These include risk, commercial, and also internal operations, and also additional factors. First of all, risk factors. The risk factors can include technical, financial, safety, quality, and legal risks. The second one is the commercial factors. They can include the expected return on investment, or payback period, or potential market share, long-term market dominance, initial cash out, ability to generate future business markets or new markets. The third one is the internal operations. The internal operation issues include employee development and workforce changes, physical environment, and manufacturing operations or service operations. We have also some additional factors like patent protection and impact on company image and strategic fit. We have these issues in the project selection. By taking all these factors into account during the project screening and project selection, an organization can make more informal decisions about which project to pursue, and ultimately increasing their chances of success. Approaches to project screening. There are several approaches to project screening, including the checklist model and simplified scoring models, analytic hierarchy process, and profile models. The first one, the checklist model, is a simple and straightforward approach that involves creating a list of criteria that a project must meet in order to be considered for selection. Each criteria is given a yes or no answer, and if a project meets all of the criteria, it is considered for the selection. This is the first one, the first approach for to project screening. The second one is simplifying scoring models. This involves assigning scores to different criteria, and projects with the highest scores are selected. So it is you are just giving numbers, giving some scores to the project. So based on these scores, you will select the project. The third approach is analytic hierarchy process. It is a more complex approach in reality that involves weighing and prioritizing criteria to determine which project should be pursued. This is a relatively a more complex approach than the others. The fourth approach is profile models. Profile models involve creating profiles of ideal projects and comparing potential projects to these profiles to determine which ones should be selected. Each approach has its own strengths and weaknesses. We can use one over the other, and managers should carefully consider which approach to use based on their specific needs and goals. These are the project screening and selection approach. Proactive portfolio matrices. We have this matrix that is very important to understand. In this matrix, we have four different parts. In the first part, we have a white elephant, and we have bread and butter, and the other we have oyster, and then we have pearl. So we are using these terms to understand what kind of project should be selected that has more benefit for the organization in the future. First of all, the white elephant. As we see, we have before talking about these parties, we in the X direction we have a value if successful, why do it, and in the Y direction we have the difficulty of the project, how hard is it. So white elephant projects, these are the projects that are hard to do, and if successful, they will produce a relatively low return on the investment. So if we have these kinds of projects, we have to remove them from our portfolio to free the resources to apply to more valuable opportunities. This is about the first cell. The second one, bread and butter projects. If we have a project like bread and butter, what does that mean? It means they are easy to do, and they will produce a relatively low value if successful. They occasionally support a high impact innovation. So we have to consider discarding this kind of projects. For the white elephant, we have to remove them. For the bread and butter, we have to consider removing them. Oyster projects, oyster-like projects. These are the risky projects. Okay, they are hard to do, but they have potential to produce a game-changing returns. So model companies, those who excel in innovation, will have a sufficient number of oyster projects in their portfolio to produce a few opportunities in the future. Now, what are pearls? They are easy projects with big returns. These kind of projects usually come from oysters, okay, that have proven out with the experience. So if we have many oysters, then we can have some perils. So, so perils are the most interesting types of projects. I mean, parallel-like projects. They are the most interesting types of projects because they are easy and they have bigger returns for the organization. Unfortunately, not all oysters produce pearls, which is why we need to include reasonable number of oysters in our portfolio. It means we have to have many high risk, high value projects in our portfolio so we can have some numbers of peril in the future. Project manager responsibilities. Based on what we have discussed before, based on the characteristics of the project is and the sensitivity of the project is, we have to define the responsibility of the project manager. First of all, the project manager should it is the responsibility of the project manager to select an efficient and proficient team. Secondly, they should develop the project objectives and plan for execution. And the other is performing risk management activities. The risk management plan for the project, cost estimation and budgeting, the cost of all the activities and the total budget that's needed to completion of the project, scheduling and managing the time of the project by having a precise timetable for the project, managing resources, different kinds of resources like human resources, equipment, and funds. So managing of these things parallel to the project needs is also one important responsibility of the project manager. The role of the project manager, based on the responsibilities, we can define the role of the project manager and in the projects. The first one is the strategy of the company, and if they have some projects, the strategy of the project is also is one aspect that the project manager can have a great role in achieving the strategic goals of the organization. The teamwork, enhancing the teamwork within the organization is also the one of the important roles of the project manager. The quality of the outcomes and the products or services, and also planning for the project, and also planning for the project and planning for achieving the long-term goals and objectives of the organization. Monitoring and control systems processes, defining a good monitoring and improving monitoring system is one of the roles of the project manager. Keys to successful project portfolio management. Successful project portfolio management requires a flexible structure and freedom of communication within the organization. A portfolio management structure should allow for collaboration and coordination among different departments and stakeholders to ensure that resources are allocated efficiently and effectively. In addition, locus environmental scanning is one of the essentials to identify and track relevant market and industry trends. This information can help to inform decision making and prioritize projects that align with organizational goals and objectives. Finally, a time-based transition approach can help to ensure that changes to the project portfolio are made gradually and with minimal disruption to ongoing projects. As an overall, a combination of these key factors can help organizations effectively manage their project portfolio and achieve their strategic objectives. Problems in implementing portfolio management. There are some common problems that organizations face when trying to implement portfolio management. One of these problems is that technical communities can be resistant to change and maybe hesitant to try new methods. The other is, or another issue is that the projects and portfolios may not be aligned, which can cause confusion and waste resources. And also, sometimes there are projects that are not likely to succeed, but they continue to pursue due to various reasons, and this can lead to wasting resources. This is called unpromising projects. And finally, resources may be scarce, which means that organizations must prioritize their projects carefully and ensure that they are making the most of the resources they have available. Now we ended up with today's lecture. Here I'm talking about the summary of our lecture, what we have understood, what we have learned from the first slide to the end, to the last one. First of all, we understood why project management is becoming such a powerful and popular practice in the business. And the second one is we recognize the basic properties of projects, characteristics of the projects, including their definition. We understood why effective project management is such a challenge. It is not easy to be a project manager. It is not easy to manage projects. Differentiate between project management practices and more traditional process-oriented business functions. We also recognize the key motivators that are pushing companies to adopt project management practices. We understood and explained the project life cycles, which is very important. And also we clarified the stages and the activities that typically occur at each stage in the project. We understood the concept of project success, including various definitions of success as well as alternative models of success. We understood the purpose of project management maturity models and the process of benchmarking in organizations. We identified the relevant maturity stages that organizations go through to become proficient in their use of project management techniques. We explained 6 criteria for a useful project selection and screening model, which was very important for project selection. We understood how to employ checklists and simple scoring models to selected projects. We also um, we also used more sophisticated scoring models such as the analytical hierarchy process. We learned how to use financial concepts such as the efficient frontier and risk return models. We also employed financial analysis and options analysis to evaluate the potential for new projected investment, as we recognized the challenges that arise in maintaining an optimal projected portfolio for an organization. We understood the three keys to successful project portfolio management. All what we have learned today was based on our main reference of Pinto, JK 2016. You can have this book and you can use it for to expand your knowledge in the project management. Thank you very much. We will have a face-to-face meeting or an online meeting based on our availability for asking questions. And please don't hesitate to send me email through this email if you have any concerns or questions, or if you have any challenges or difficulty to understand one topic in the lecture. Thank you very much.